Open up that Crystal Pepsi and get comfortable.
This is Dope Nostalgia.
Welcome everybody to Dope Nostalgia. I'm your host, Naomi. We haven't had our friend Colin Krieger on the show for a very long time. I'm very excited to have him back. And we're going to be talking about a band who's just reunited to do a cruise, 2 cruises, I believe, this spring, with a bunch of other rock stars from that era. We're going to talk about Creed. Here's a little background information on the band.
Wikipedia moment.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia is not to be taken as actual 100% fact. Any donkey could edit it at any time. If I'm reading you the artist's bio, that stuff is real truth.
And it's funny because there is no artist bio on their webpage. Their whole webpage, creed.com, is basically an advertisement for the cruise coming up. 2 cruises both sold out for 2024. So here's a little bit of their Wikipedia, and I'm going to keep it really short because honestly, it's a lot to unpack to read the whole thing. Creed is an American rock band from Tallahassee, Florida, formed in 1994. Creed was prominent in the post-grunge movement of the late 90s and early 2000s, releasing 3 consecutive multi-platinum albums, with their album Human Clay being certified diamond. Creed has sold over 28 million records in the United States and 53 million albums worldwide, and was the 9th best-selling musical act of the 2000s. For most of its existence, the band has consisted of lead vocalist Scott Stapp, guitarist and vocalist Mark Tremonti, bassist Brian Marshall, and drummer Scott Phillips. Creed released 2 studio albums, My Own Prison in 1997 and Human Clay in 1999, before Marshall left the band in 2000. Human Clay remains one of the best-selling albums of all time and contained the Billboard Hot 100 peaking single With Arms Wide Open, which also won a Grammy Award for Best Rock Song. The band's 3rd album, Weathered, was released in 2001 with Tremonti on bass guitar. Creed disbanded in 2004. Stapp pursued a solo career while Tremonti, Marshall, and Phillips founded the band Alter Bridge with Miles Kennedy. Creed reunited in 2009, releasing their 4th album, Full Circle, and performing several tours before separating again in 2012. After an 11-year hiatus, Creed officially reunited in July 2023 and announced that they would be headlining the Summer of '99 Cruise Festival in April 2024. Let's welcome back to the show our good friend, comedian Colin Krieger. Let's talk about Creed. It's been a long time since our friend Colin Krieger was here, but welcome back, Colin.
Thank you, Nomer. How are you?
Good to see you in your Britney Spears microphone.
Thank you. Yes, this is, I feel like I'm taking orders at Starbucks. What can I get started for you?
Yeah, looks great. Yeah, it's been a long time. But yeah, so, the podcast has kind of slowed down lately and I got to kick it up into gear. So I was like, you know what? I have so much fun doing these episodes with friends. They're some of the best ones I like.
Well, sure.
It's just fun. It's straight up fun. And I think our listeners appreciate it too. So we want to talk about a band today that got a lot of flack. I feel like they're almost like the American Nickelback.
I think that's a fair comparison. And of course, we were talking about the mighty Creed.
Creed. And they're relevant again right now because they just got back together for the 3rd time, I think.
Is this the 3rd time now?
Well, they're about to do a cruise.
Okay. The Creed cruise?
The Creed cruise, with a spectacular lineup going on the cruise with them too. But they've reunited for that. They have a couple ads out now saying who they're all touring with, or not touring with, but playing on the cruise with. You got Three Doors Down, Daughtry, just a bunch of bands that are in the same vein, that post grunge sound, right?
Right.
Right.
With a that's what I was thinking today when I was just we're going to do the podcast today and thinking about Creed. I think that's why they get all the crap. For some reason, you got Scott Stapp, you got Eddie Vedder, you've got to some degree Chad Kruger, and and everybody objects to that singing style. A lot of I don't know what you call that. Vocals better than I do, but a lot of throat, a lot of
it feels like there's a lot of like air going all around inside the mouth or something. But it's I don't see the problem with that singing style. I don't find it annoying to listen to.
Nor do I. No, I don't think that's no.
And this is me being an old lady yelling at a cloud, but the singing style that annoys me now is these kids who do like overpronounce the vowels and they sing like they have cotton balls in their mouths.
What's an example?
Alessia Cara, maybe.
Okay.
Like I can really like there's like the way they. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like the vowels are pronounced really weird.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like
on this, but it drives me fucking nuts.
Britney used to be like that, though. Britney sounds like she's running through a processor all the time, even when she's not.
It's not the same thing. It's not.
No,
it's not the same thing. But people are really, really. They love to make fun of Scott Stapp's voice. I've seen it happen at karaoke a lot. And even Scott Stapp, like to prepare for today, instead of doing the usual looking through Wikipedia and reading about the band and all of that kind of thing, I just watched a bunch of YouTube documentaries. Okay. And there's something on there about Scott Stapp where his son and his friend were in the vehicle and they were making fun of how his dad sings because that's what other people do. Okay. And Scott was like, do I really sound like that? Wow.
Today. Yeah. And I was thinking about it, and funny. Even there's a lot of people guilty of it. Like, I mean, if you even want to look at Anthony Kiedis to some degree, he kind of has a bit of that sound, and nobody gives Anthony Kiedis shit for anything.
Anthony Kiedis' voice is, I hate it.
I don't think it's great. Anthony Kiedis, and they no one gives him hell for that, and he's not the best vocalist in the world, but he's fine for his style. And yeah, I don't know, Scott Stapp for some reason takes a lot of shit. Eddie Vedder, nobody gives Eddie Vedder any shit about his vocal style. It's very distinctive and it's very similar, I think.
I feel like Eddie Vedder's more revered. Yeah. Nobody makes fun of Eddie Vedder.
No,
because he ushered in a movement and all of that along with Nirvana and Soundgarden and everybody. So I think he gets respected, but I think a lot of the hate on Creed has to do with how arrogant they came across. Not the rest of the band, but Scott came across as very arrogant, very full of himself, and people felt like they were being preached at.
Probably. Yeah. And he was kind of when they got big, he turned into kind of a prick. Mm-hmm. And then he was, by his own admission, he was a pretty bad alcoholic, and that never goes well for acting in public. And I think, well, really, I mean, Creed is Scott Stapp. Name another member of Creed.
Mark Tremonti.
Oh, okay. Well, you're right. But
he's a very, very famous guitar player in his own right.
He is. Now that you mentioned the name, yeah, he's working with Wolfgang Van Halen and stuff now. Yeah. He is.
Yeah. But
Wolf Van Halen, by the way, going off on a tangent here. Wolf Van Halen, he's pretty impressive, huh? I like him.
I haven't seen much that he's done. His band's called Mammoth, right?
Mammoth WVH, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think I saw the song that he put out shortly after his dad died that was like a compilation video of moments with his dad.
Yes.
So that was super cool. Yeah.
And his solo stuff, I don't really dig his solo stuff all that much, but what really impressed me is he played the Taylor Hawkins tribute, and he can shred like his dad. Like,
did he play guitar?
He did. He played played guitar, and he played Hot for Teacher note for note.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Really cool.
Honestly, very cool, but it's not surprising.
No.
He's exposed to it his whole entire life, but I think that's wonderful. And I like how sassy he is, especially on social media. He doesn't put up with any shit.
No,
that Wolfgang. No.
And people want to say, you're not like your dad, you're not like your dad. That guy's a talented musician, so he's not exactly Eddie Van Halen, and he's 25. Okay, give him another 10 years. Yeah.
And honestly, why would why would people fucking say that to him anyway? That's fucking rude.
Yeah.
Plus, like,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't want to be like exactly like his dad, right? He
Yeah.
wants to be himself.
Well,
But,
yeah, it's rude. Have you seen the internet? Yeah. It's
welcome.
yes.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that being said, he came across kind of arrogant, which kind of leads to the whole thing where it's disputed. And most people think Creed was a Christian band, but
Yes.
the rest of the guys weren't. They weren't about spreading a Christian message. Scott, I don't even think Scott was trying to spread a message. I think he was just writing out the things he had dealt with in his life and his relationship with God, and the fact that his stepfather was a pastor who was very abusive to him.
That I didn't know.
Yeah.
That I didn't know. But again, even with that, okay, so he's got the Christian message and that sort of thing, and then he gets caught. There's film of him with Kid Rock on Kid Rock's bus getting a blowjob.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find it hard to take your religiosity seriously.
And he realized that too. He realized that his behavior wasn't doing him any favors, and it wasn't setting out the message that his music did, and he was contradicting himself. And I think he's figured that out now.
Yeah.
But at the time, oh man, his addiction was so bad that. Did you see the clips from him on that casino show that was hosted by Howard Stern's wife, Beth?
Not specifically that. I've seen drunk clips of him, but not the one you're talking about. No.
Oh, and he was filming all this stuff on his social media that was crazy, saying stuff like, ISIS, the root of ISIS is within my own family. Call me now to find out more. Like shit like that.
Wow.
Like he'd gone right off his rocker with the drugs and stuff.
Oh, boy. I thought he was just a drinker. Did he have a drug problem also?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was prescription drugs because of like painkillers and shit. I think that's what.
Oh, right.
I think that was the road it was for him.
Was it a guy? I thought it was a guy from Creed. They were on tour and he went and robbed a pharmacy for opiates. Was that a guy from Creed or was that somebody else?
Not that I know of.
Okay, that was somebody else then. But it was a band. No, it was a guy from Disturbed, I think, maybe. But something like a Creed or Disturbed or something of that lineage there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
well, anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, like the lyrics that he was writing were what made people think that it was a Christian message. And that's why people thought he was like looking down at other people preaching at them. But I don't think it was a preaching thing. I think it was him just what do we do as songwriters? We write out our thoughts and our feelings and the things we've gone through.
Sure.
And I think he was just kind of putting himself into like a diary, a musical diary, a journal.
Right. No, that makes sense. And if that's something that's very central to who you are, yeah, you're going to write about it. Mm-hmm. I see, and I was under the impression until right now too. I thought Creed was a not a religious band, but that was part of their deal. But it was just him. Okay, well that makes sense, I suppose. He was he was just kind of a douchebag a little bit for a while. I don't know how he is now, but
I'm gonna expand on what you just said, but here's something that was in actual Wikipedia, according to something in the Washington Post in 1999. The biblical imagery of singer Scott Stapp's lyrics got Creed typed as a Christian rock by early listeners, and the band's denial of any religious objective has unsettled some of its more fervent fans. We are not a Christian band, Stapp insists on the band's website. A Christian band has an agenda to lead others to believe in their specific religious beliefs. We have no agenda.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Creed?
No, have you?
I have seen Creed.
How did you get into them in the first place?
Well, they were everywhere. I was working radio those days, and I mean, Creed was everywhere. When I worked at a rock station, we played a lot of Creed, and then I went over to the pop station and we played a lot of Creed, and that's how I got tickets, because I got free tickets to everything in those days. Yeah. And it was at the Coliseum back when I think it was still the Coliseum then even. And
an old hunk of cement down in the northeast.
Damn right. And I remember I was on the floor. I don't know if it was general admission or not, but it was on the floor. And I went with a friend who was kind of into Creed, but not really. But we got free tickets, so she came with me. And she, halfway through the show, she turned to me and she said, "He's not very good, eh?"
What?
Yeah. Oh, his pitch was terrible. His pitch was terrible.
But was it Vince Neil terrible? Nothing.
No,
is.
well, I mean, what is Vince Neil terrible? But okay,
I always go off on that. Sorry.
Speaking of Vince Neil, though, I looked that up or saw that today coincidentally. There's a rumor out there, and I can't tell if there's any validity to it or not, that Vince, of course, can't sing anymore. Motley Crue is going to do some new stuff. So they're going to use an AI voice, and Scott Stapp is going to sing for Vince with AI substituting Vince's voice in there.
So Scott Stapp's going to be the singer of Motley Crue, but it's his singing is going to turn into the sound of Vince's voice.
Exactly.
What?
This is that I know. So I don't know if this is true or not, but there's a couple. I found it more than one place, and one place I saw it was not completely crazy. So yeah, I don't know.
This AI thing is really starting to scare the shit out of me, because you can end up making videos of people doing stuff that it's not even them doing it.
That's what worries me, man.
You don't even know if I'm the one talking to you right now.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's scary.
Well, did you see when Chat GPT first came out, somebody did pictures of Donald Trump, quote unquote, resisting arrest. And if you wouldn't have known that it was ridiculous for certain reasons, like if you would have just came in cold and saw those pictures, there's no reason you wouldn't believe that happened. Like they were perfect. They were perfect.
But they weren't real.
They weren't real.
And then it's going to be like, is there going to be a way that we can determine what's real and what's not anymore? Is there a way to edit or like analyze the videos and photos that we're getting to see if they're real or fake?
I think they're going to have to figure something like that out, because if you can't believe pictures anymore, and you can't believe audio anymore, and you can't, how long until they have something with holograms or whatever that you can't believe what you see anymore? Right?
Holy shit. I want to just get that bunker ready. I want to go live on a mountain.
Yeah, I watched all 6 seasons this summer. I watched all 6 seasons of Black Mirror. So I'm ready for all that stuff. Have you seen Black Mirror?
No, I have not.
Black Mirror is all completely, the whole series is about like AI and future and how technology gets people in trouble, and all these, some people have eye implants. Anyway, and it's pretty freaky.
I love these types of TV shows and movies. I just don't want it in my real life. That's all I'm saying. Yes, exactly.
No, I sometimes I really long for the old days when the phone was attached to the wall, and stuff like that. Yeah. And you take pictures and you'd wait a week for them to come back, and half of them would have your eyes shut and stuff. I don't know.
Oh man, I wanted those like 1 hour photo places, or I would die. Right. I just couldn't wait. And then there's like, you took 24 pictures and 3 of them turned out good. That's
right. Yeah. Well, I was small town Alberta, so we had to send out pictures. So there was no 1 hour photo. There was like 2 week photo. Like, so you take them to the drugstore, and the drugstore would send them out. And literally, I think the fastest you get it back is, exactly. It was IDA Pharmacy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I guess the IDA and Gibbons, you could send away photos too, but we live close enough to the city that we would just do them in the city.
Oh yeah.
While we'd be in town.
No, I lived in the sticks. But
that anticipation of getting your pictures back was great.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I had pictures when my dad took me to see wrestling, took me to WWF. Yeah. And he got a great picture of Hulk Hogan doing the big pose. But the film was off somehow in the camera, like it was half a frame off. So it was like cut in half. So the best picture I would have had in my whole life, and it got wrecked. And if it would have had an iPhone, we would have just took 47 pictures and would have been fine.
Pick the best one.
That's right.
Or 5.
Do the rapid burst or whatever they call it. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of people don't like, they think that you're not enjoying the concert if you're filming or taking pictures, but I don't subscribe to that. I actually still enjoy the concert while I'm doing that, but I'm also watching it with my own eyes and not watching it through the camera, unless I have really shitty seats. Then watching it through the video actually helps me see it better.
It's actually not as bad. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I see, and I'm a little from column A, a little from column B. I'm not much of a picture taker. I do like to take some, but I got to put the camera down, or I got to put the phone down for a bit, because I'll get sucked into it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but it's fun. Or Instagram live from a concert. I've done that. But the only thing is when you do that, the video quality is shit.
Oh, is that right?
I'd rather just film the actual video like
And then
on the
post it.
phone and then post it because then it looks proper and nice. So
Yeah. I recently upgraded to an iPhone 14 and holy hell. It's just like a TV camera. It's amazing.
wow.
The best camera I've ever had in my life, phone or otherwise. Yeah. Really super good. And it's got the three thing on it. Yeah.
Oh, let's see how many we got. I've got the Samsung Ultra.
Oh, you got more than me. There,
it's a Samsung.
Right. But that's more lenses. I got 3 lenses and a light and a thing.
But you know what? It's just great. It's great stuff. I'm gonna get
great stuff.
Good photos and videos from the cruise for everybody. And our YouTube's blown up because of the shit I filmed down in the States. I've gotten some view. One of my videos has over 100,000 views.
Holy hell. Well, I need to check that out. What's the...
Well, it's Dope Nostalgia Podcast on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that or your personal one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't need to write that down then.
But no, it's been great. Anyways, back to the topic.
Right. For straying.
So I don't know. I never really was like, I've always been kind of indifferent about Creed. I like some of their songs, but I've never been like really huge into them. I've never like had the urge to want to go see them live or anything. But they have great songs. Their musicianship is wonderful, and I don't like when people diss their music because I think it's really good. My favorite song is that by them is that I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking. Oh, that's
maybe 6 feet. Yeah, One Last Breath.
One Last Breath. I think that was on their 3rd album, Weathered.
Her so far down. Yeah, I have to sing like that. I have to.
So they put out the first album on a $6,000 budget that someone's uncle gave them to record. My own cousin.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad budget for in those days, especially. But I guess recording was more expensive than actually, right? Because you had to actually you couldn't do it.
You actually had to go to a studio and pay.
Yeah, you actually had to go to a studio. And now, I think you could make a great album for $6,000. You know, not that album wasn't great, but still, like, I think that you would know more. You're more well versed in this than I am, but I think that a lot of young bands do it in their bedroom, and it sounds pretty damn good.
You could do that for $6,000. You could just use it to $6,000 to like rent equipment if you needed to.
Yeah. Yeah. I took audio production in 1997, and how labor intensive it used to be. Oh my God. And for a product that didn't sound half as good as what people can do in their spare bedroom.
Are you talking about analog or digital recording?
Well, it was analog. I learned on analog, and then I got a bit of digital also, but initially I learned audio production analog style. And
that's cool that you got to learn the OG way of doing things, even though like we learned about it, but not how to do it. So we learned digital only, but we had one class with the guy who just wanted to tell us about how analog was done and how important it was.
Sure.
He doesn't. There's analog junkies don't want to forget analog, you know?
No. And my ears aren't good enough to tell the difference, honestly. I've bashed my ears. Every job I've had has been really tough on my ears, and I can't hear well enough to tell the difference now. You know, but like we have a friend in common who loves the analog stuff, and I know a few people, like I have a couple friends that like vinyl. Oh, they love vinyl, and that's great. But all the pops and the hiss and the BS, I don't think that's worth it for whatever warmth there is to it.
Well, and I'm wondering if you buy vinyl, you collect vinyl now of new albums if the album was recorded and mastered in digital and you put it on vinyl, it's not technically analog. I think it's still going to sound digital. That
would stand to reason. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so I don't know. I'm a big fan of digital. And as a DJ, when MP3 came out, the old time crew always MP3s sound terrible. That's awesome. You're awful. No way, man. I don't have to haul around 600 CDs that get scratched and lost and misfiled and are 200 pounds. I don't care. I don't think MP3s sound all that bad. For the average person, especially in an environment where the acoustics are not very good anyway, like I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
It doesn't make any difference in those environments. The only time I would really care is if I'm sitting there with a set of headphones on or in a room where it's like you're just trying to listen to the music.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sure.
Other than that, it doesn't really matter.
I don't think so.
So they recorded it $6,000 budget, and then it ended up the band selling it on their own because it would become quite popular locally in Tallahassee, where they started from. And so they were selling the CDs individually. They sold 6,000 records. Then a record company came along and picked them up. The name of the company was, it's not saying right here. I don't have everything written down. Oh, Wind Up Records.
Okay.
Wind Up Records in 1997 heard the album and then wanted to sign the band. So they did. And because she thought this band sounds like an arena band. So then they remastered the recordings and put it out, and holy shit.
They had a big sound. I mean, they really did have a big sound. And I think Creed did well because they were heavy but accessible. You know, like a band like Pantera is too much for a sort of a pop fan, whereas Creed is crunchy and it's heavy, but it's not too metal, you know? Yeah. I think that's where they did well. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons that people pick on Nickelback is they feel like they're just too perfect, kind of like they're just too
polished.
They're just too polished and too pop sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where a lot of those bands get shit that they don't deserve.
People forget that when Nickelback came out with their very first couple albums, they were hugely popular. Like people loved them. They would go see them at like Stage 13 and all these, like before they hit international fame and before Silver Side Up came out. People, all they did was talk about how good Nickelback was. Yeah. So then, I guess when Silver Side Up came out, he kind of changed his lyrical style of writing from metaphoric to more literal lyrics. And people were kind of like, I think they were turned off by it.
Yeah, I could see how that would happen. How the more purist fans would do that. When I was in school, when I was at Nate, we used to play a Nickelback song. I think it was called Debaser, and it was different than you're right. It was a different sound than what they eventually came up with. But in those days too, they were playing the Rev in those days, and I remember seeing Nickelback at the Rev just coincidentally. Like we just went that night and Nickelback is here, and it was like
for our international listeners, that's like a little club.
Yeah, the Rev is a little brick club that what do you fit in Red 300 people maybe?
I don't know.
Not even, I don't know. But anyway, we ended up at the Rev, and Nickelback was on, and I think it was like $8 to get in or something. And yeah, and who knew that they were going to be huge like that?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of parallels between the two bands, Creed and Nickelback.
Yeah. I think that's true. I was just thinking that this morning was they take crap for the same thing.
Yeah. And I'm always wondering who are the people spewing that crap and what makes whatever they like any better. I think it becomes a popular thing to do to make fun of something. It doesn't even necessarily mean you don't like it. You just know that if you think that if you do like it publicly, people will make fun of you.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and it's the same sort of thing where like somebody who's a real fan of something, they don't like the singles. No, the album tracks, man.
I'll say as a hardcore Bon Jovi fan, I'm going to say I don't care if I ever hear Wanted Dead or Alive again. I Fair enough. Don't care. But they have such great album tracks. And B-sides. It's fucking ridiculous that those songs did not become hits.
Sure, but now the point of it is not that you're too cool to like the singles. It's like just that you like the whole catalog.
I like the whole catalog, and I've heard the single so many times that I easily get tired of things that get overplayed. That's
for sure.
Much it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, like I love Alice in Chains, but I don't need to hear Rooster ever again. No, I understand that.
Oh yeah, they got way better tracks, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Even Post Lane, even with the new singer, they've got some good tracks.
See, I haven't heard a lot of the new stuff. I'm not up on the new stuff. But
I like when the album title, "The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here."
Wait, when did that come out? What year did that come out?
I can't tell you off the top of my head. I'm going to say it's maybe 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I haven't kept up on it since they've had the new singer. But Dirt, I mean, I've listened to Dirt. Dirt is one of those albums you can listen to front to back.
Yep.
And yeah, I've listened to that hundreds of times.
It's perfection.
Hundreds of times. Perfection. It is. And I didn't even know anything about Alice in Chains until I saw Guns N' Roses in '93. And during intermission, Brian May opened. At intermission, they played Alice in Chains. And I hunted for that. I did not know what it was. But when I found it, that was home. That was a good find. No anyway, doubt. enough of my personal journey into Alice in Chains.
We'll be right back.
Dope Nostalgia listeners, I love you and I thank you so much for being a part of this show and its success over the last 2 years. We have what's called Patreon for those who want to support the show financially. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a subscriber and get bonus content, early podcast release, all kinds of cool behind-the-scenes stuff, and more. There's different tiers of membership starting at only $1 a month. And we even have some special merch for you guys who are in it for the long run. So please, join our Patreon. It's at www.patreon.com/dope nostalgia.
Oh, hi, it's Zach Peter, your new favorite pop culture guru, serving you the hottest tea 3 times a week. From the latest news on The Real Housewives, deep dives into celebrity legal scandals, unfiltered combos with your favorite stars, and of course, the latest from Vanderpump Land, I've got you covered. And new episodes of the podcast are now available in video on Spotify. And they don't just let anybody do video, but this Platinum Blonde has won them over. So if you want the latest news from the ultimate tea-spilling professional, tune in to No Filter with Zach Peter. That's No Filter with Zach Peter on your favorite podcast app now.
to use one of these?
GoldenEye. Load a rumble pack and see how it feels when 007 meets N64.
So this band becomes huge off the first album, My Own Prison, like unheard of for a first album, how big that it got. And, you know, the bigger you get, the harder you fall, or the people want to tear you down, right? But the second album, the sophomore effort, was Human Clay that came out in 99.
Yes.
That thing blew up way bigger.
What were the singles off of Human Clay?
Higher.
Oh, well, of course. Higher would be the Creed song. That's what song most people know.
With Arms Wide Open.
Okay. No, sorry, I was wrong.
I think that's the biggest one.
That's the biggest one.
Because it's the most accessible of all the songs.
Yeah.
What If? I like What If. What If?
I don't remember What If.
What if I?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Are You Ready was on that one too.
That I liked Are You Ready? I think that's a great one.
It's a really good album, I thought. So that album sold over 10 million copies and reached diamond status. It's one of the most successful hard rock albums of all time.
All time.
Of all time. Like Kanye West all time.
Wow. I would not have guessed that if that Creed was in any discussion of all-time status. That's
knew they were big, but I didn't realize how big they were while it was happening. I think it was like, I kind of thought of them as much as I thought about Matchbox 20. They're just there all the time.
Yeah, audio wallpaper. Yeah.
They're just always there. Yeah. Because when I went to see Matchbox 20, I was like, holy shit, I know every fucking song they're playing.
Yeah.
They owned the radio.
Absolutely, they did. And like Collective Soul did kind of the same thing, not as much, but there was a couple bands in that period. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They really did. So that's about the time I think where things started to fall apart with like drugs and alcohol. And one of the band members left. I think he was temporarily replaced. I feel like an asshole because I don't remember his name. But then they recorded Weathered as a 3-piece. Tremonti played the bass on the record instead of, it was Marshall. His last name's Marshall.
Okay.
He was the bass player. He was going through alcoholism, and so he went into rehab. The public initially thought he was let go because he criticized Eddie Vedder in a radio interview, claiming that Scott Stapp is a better songwriter and criticized Pearl Jam's recent albums for having songs without hooks. But that is not what happened. He had gone to rehab. Then they apologized on Brian's behalf if he offended anybody. Okay, so that's what happened there. And then they did the third album, Weathered, as a 3-piece. That's where My Sacrifice came from, was Weathered. But it's
that
funny
song was
because
big.
I felt like My Sacrifice was way earlier, but it wasn't. It was the third album.
It feels like it was way earlier. That feels first album, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the singles,
what year was that? What year was Weathered?
2001.
Okay.
End of 2001.
Okay.
So the other songs that were on there that came out that were singles were Bullets. I don't remember that one. One Last Breath, Hide, Don't Stop Dancing. I remember that.
I didn't like that one. Yeah.
I didn't really like that
Bullets.
one either. No.
No. Don't stop dancing. I cannot imitate. Yeah, I cannot imitate Creed without doing the. I don't know why. I kind of like to do it too. I don't know. Well, you and I both host karaoke, and that's kind of the impression most people do when they do a Creed song.
They do. They sing exactly like that. So the Catalyst. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that was I had nothing. I had nothing I was going to add to the discussion there.
The catalyst that started Scott's addiction problem was he was driving to the set of the video for One Last Breath, and he got rear-ended in a car crash pretty bad. So he suffered a concussion and vertebrae damage, and then pain medication addiction.
Oh,
plus
yes.
the alcohol.
Yeah.
And then they all like really couldn't work with him. They couldn't work with him anymore. He was so intoxicated and or medicated that he was unable to sing the lyrics of a single Creed song. It got to the point where the fans sued the band for a bad concert.
I remember that. Yes. Yeah. There was a class action suit because it was so bad. I mean, if they can do that, Vince Neil better watch out. I don't know.
I want to go to Motley Crue and sue. I should sue for last year's show.
Oh, yeah. I didn't go to that show you did, but I've seen a lot of stuff online. And is it as bad live as it is online?
Luckily, you can hear a lot of the other instruments more than you can hear him singing, which is nice.
Oh, well, and then there's I mean, I know this isn't the Motley Crue episode, but speaking of that, have you seen the allegations of the lip syncing and stuff and the backing tracks?
Oh, for Crue?
Yeah.
Okay. I sent you that video. Was it yes, today or yesterday? And it was a Crue video from TikTok. And they were saying that not only did Vince sound like a little weaselly whining pig, but like I shouldn't say that. He sounded winded and he wasn't making out words. And then they showed that they pan over to Nikki Sixx and they accuse him of lip syncing. Yeah. Well, I didn't get lip syncing out of that.
I did not get it. Anyway, but I have seen things like that. And the one I was going to talk to you about is they have footage of Nikki Sixx and he's adjusting his in-ear monitors while he's playing bass. Like his hands are at his ears and it's
so he's bass syncing.
He's bass syncing. Yeah. And that's Mick Mars has made that allegation too. Mick Mars says Nikki Sixx hasn't played bass the whole tour.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he must have left on bad terms to be saying things like that in public.
Well, terrible terms. You're obviously not up on it because there's bad terms. Yeah. You should look it up because there's lawsuits in the whole bit because they were going to screw him out of his quarter of the band and they were going to drop him down to 5%. And he said, no, absolutely not. And they kicked him out because they said, well, he's not playing properly. And they had video of Mick totally screwing up his parts. They had a couple videos of that. So there's a big, there's a lot
like
to be had.
The rest of them don't fuck up their parts. Oh, come on.
That's right.
Vince is fucking terrible. Like
Vince has got to be the worst singer in rock at this point. Yeah. Like it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I think why Vince can't
I'm not going to sugarcoat it to be nice. It's fucking bad and he should stop.
Yeah. No, it's bad. And that's why Vince can't lip sync now, I think, is because he can't go from this to good. Because everybody would say, no, absolutely not. He's got to be lip syncing. Because like you said, it's not just like, he's not as good as he used to be. He's terrible. Yeah. He's not even like bad karaoke. He's like terrible karaoke. And he's every third word.
Okay, so
you don't want to hear more of that? Come on.
No, I'd like to go back to the Creed band.
All right.
Okay. So this amazing thing happened when Creed broke up. The three other members that are not Scott Stapp formed another band with an amazing singer who I consider one of the best singers in rock and roll. His name is Miles Kennedy.
Miles
And
Kennedy's amazing.
And they formed the band Alter Bridge.
Yes. Yes. What Make Up Your Mind? What was the first one called? Not Make Up Your Mind. Open Your Eyes, right?
Open Your Eyes was a big hit for them, yes.
Open Your Eyes was big. That was when I first became aware of Alter Bridge.
Mm-hmm. Alter Bridge is one of my favorite rock bands. I much, much prefer them over Creed. I think they're fantastic.
Sure. Well, Miles Kennedy is just such a powerhouse. He's just such an amazing vocalist. Like, he's better than Scott Stapp for sure.
Oh man. Yeah. Like he also sings, he fronts two bands. He fronts Alter Bridge and he fronts Slash and the Conspirators.
Yeah.
So between the two bands, I've seen him with Slash now twice and just blows me away. They're fucking amazing. His voice soars. There's no one like him. I think he's fantastic. So Alter Bridge's first album came out in 2004 and it was called One Day Remains. So that's the one that had Open Your Eyes,
right?
Find the Real, and Broken Wings. Those were the big three off of that one. They've released several albums since that are really, really good. But yeah,
not as commercially successful as Creed, though. Not even close.
No, but they do have really diehard fans, and they do they do very well. They play. They're really hot on the festival circuits and such.
That would make sense.
Yeah. They should have Alter Bridge play on their cruise as well as Creed, because more than half the band's already there.
Oh, you'd save a lot of money on that.
Just get Miles to come.
Well, he's probably the expensive one at this point.
But I find it impressive how he balances between the two bands. So probably when Guns N' Roses is touring, then he's probably doing Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
And when Slash isn't busy, then he probably does the Conspirators.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That would make sense. But yeah, I mean, the guy's just so talented. He's just so talented. And live, he's great. You know, there's a lot of vocalists out there that aren't as good live. Lots and lots. But I think Miles Kennedy is good either way.
So at one point, Mark Tremonti referred to Creed as officially in the past. And then he said this in 2006.
Okay.
But then in 2009, Creed's website announced that the band had reunited for a new tour and plans for a new album. Then the album came out and it was called Full Circle. Did you remember Full Circle at all?
I don't remember Full Circle at all.
It came out in 2009.
I think that one probably couldn't have sold very well. What was the single off of that one?
Overcome, Rain, and 1,000 Faces. I don't think that they were commercially successful, at least not to the extent that their previous albums had been. But they went on tour together. They were going to work on a potential fifth album, and then they just hiatused it. I think they just got abandoned. So they said that they're still a band, but they just abandoned it and did other things.
Cry victim to me. Everything we are and used to be is buried and gone. Now it's my turn to speak. It's my turn to expose and release what's been killing me. I'll be down fighting you. It's impossible.
Scott Stapp did do a solo album at one point.
I remember hearing something about that, but I'm not familiar with anything off of that.
Did you know that Scott Stapp recorded a song with a band called Seven Aurelius and the Tea Party for the Passion of the Christ, a collection of songs. For the album,
again, now
for
that
the
you mention
soundtrack?
it, I remember hearing something about that, but I've not heard it. But
With the Tea Party.
that's something, yeah, because the Tea Party outside of Canada doesn't really have much
Yeah,
following, I don't think.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the Scott Stapp solo album was called The Great Divide, and it came out in 2005. It peaked on the Billboard 200 at number 19. But the song
Okay.
The Great Divide did get a lot of airplay. I remember hearing it quite a bit.
Again, I recognize the title, but I can't hear it in my head.
And Scott Stapp was ranked as the 68th greatest heavy metal vocalist of all time by Hit Parader in 2006. Hit Parader
Wow.
magazine.
Sure. Well, 68. That's fairly far back on the list, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that he made the list. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Okay, so basically they were together, but not really. The bassist that had gone to rehab is back in the band. Everyone's back in the band. And like I said, they've announced that they're doing these cruises now. As far as what could come after that, if there's going to be new music or a tour, that's up in the air. No idea.
Well, touring, from what I understand, touring is a lot less lucrative for bands now than it was in the past. There's a lot
still
more.
The only way they're going to make their money.
Which is true. Because, I mean, you're not, with streaming, I don't think anybody's making any money off that. From what
Not
I
making money
understand,
off recordings anymore. Nope.
from what I understand, merch is the big
Yep.
big one now.
And that's where you're going to sell it.
Merch,
Tours.
yeah. And merch is not cheap, as you well know.
Oh man. Man, do I spend a lot. I have way too many New Kid shirts, man.
You got $1,000 for the New Kids shirts, probably. Yeah.
And Bon Jovi shirts. Oh, I have
Right.
I have everyone's shirt. Yes.
You have
But-
so many shirts that you gave me a Guns N' Roses shirt, even you have so many.
Yeah, that's right. And I still have like 3 Guns N' Roses shirts. So
Yeah. Yeah. I still have mine from the last show too, and I think it was like $60 or something. And that was 5 years
we got
ago.
this. We got the same shirt, and it was so cool
Yes.
because it actually had our city name on the front, like on the
that's
Guns
right.
N' Roses logo, and that's
Yep.
why I was like, "We're going to have this."
Me too. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to buy one this
2017.
time too. Yes. Yep. About this time of year. It was end of August, I think. August 27th, I believe,
It was
2017.
it was a beautiful evening, and they played for
It
3
was.
hours.
Yep. Yeah. And the weather was really nice.
Mhm.
And yeah. And so I paid a ridiculous amount of money to go back. So good for me.
And you'll be doing it again. You should do a little video diary for us if we're not there
I'm certainly
Playing.
going to be taking a lot of pictures and stuff. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's going to be
with your
And
iPhone 14.
with my iPhone 14. Well, and I'm going to get nice and close. I mean,
Mhm.
general admission, and I can move around, and the stage is going to be smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And because you have to admit, at the stadium, the stage was so huge that everybody was all spread out, you
Yeah.
know. And this is going to be, the for lack of a better term, the Coliseum size stage, which is you get everybody in one little area.
Yeah,
I'm
but it's a
excited.
great-
I think
it's
gonna
a
be
great arena, though. I love our new arena. It's not new anymore, but it still feels new
I
when you
suppose
go in
not.
there.
It's new to me. Yeah. No, in my mind, I still think I'm going to Rexall, or in my mind, I'm still going to the Coliseum, actually. Yeah.
Well, like wrapping up here with Creed. Here's what it says on Wikipedia about their legacy, basically. Creed was one of the most commercially successful rock bands of the late 90s and early 2000s. Their first 3 studio albums, My Own Prison, Human Clay, and Weathered, have all gone multi-platinum in the United States, selling 6 million, 11 million, and 6 million copies, respectively. They
Wow.
won a Grammy Award for Best Rock Song for With Arms Wide Open in 2001. Creed always seems to be negatively receiving critical shit. The critics don't like them for the most part. There are some that do. There's one critic from something called Slate, maybe it's a magazine, who said
Yes.
that he tried to make the case that the band was seriously underrated. Then there's another critic from something called Mediaite, said that most people hate Creed's combination of overwrought power balladry and Christian influenced testosterone. And then
Well-
just to finish, it just says Billboard ranked them as the 18th best artists of the 2000s, and Rolling Stone magazine voted Creed the worst band of the 90s.
Worst of the 90s? No way.
There's no fucking way.
No.
There's way worse bands that came out in the 90s.
Yeah. 90s had a lot of stinkers. And the worst band of the night, that is absolutely, see, that's being elitist. That's being, ooh, we don't like them.
I hate
There's
elitism
no way.
in journalism. I fucking hate it. There's a guy who wrote for the Edmonton Sun, for their entertainment columnist, Mike Ross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't stand that guy's writing. He is so elitist.
Yeah.
Certain bands he'll worship, and most bands he wouldn't even give even if he went to the show and watched it, he would still give them a bad review no matter what, whether it was good or not. Just because he didn't like them.
Yeah, and that's the sort of guy who will review the Yoko Ono album and say, "Oh, Yoko Ono's awesome because it's Yoko Ono." That's
like, why do you send a reviewer to go see something that they don't like to begin with?
Sure.
You should send somebody who's like either neutral, or maybe a fan. But sometimes a fan will embellish and blow things up that they were better than they were. But neutral, if you could find someone who's neutral. Like this Mike Ross guy, I hate how he writes. He's so fucking rude.
Ideally, a journalist should be neutral. And I mean, you can go to a show, and even if you don't like it, you can say the production was good and the musicianship was good and whatever. Like I don't want to go see Toby Keith, but I would absolutely go and review a Toby Keith show, and I wouldn't say it was shitty because I'm not a fan. I'm
going to look for the things that he does well, and I'm going to point them out just as much as I am what I don't like.
Because it's great for somebody.
It should be balanced.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. There's a reason why they're filling these arenas.
Well, that's right. It's working for somebody. But I mean, I'm sure that you take a fair amount of shit for that too, because you're a boy band fan. You know what I mean? And a lot of people write that off just as it is because, well, how can that be any good?
If you're a boy band fan, you're totally used to the whole like people making fun. It's not like it was back when I was a kid with the making fun of. I think people more everything is more looked at with nostalgic tendencies now.
For sure.
Where there's no hate anymore, really. Because if you're if you're in your 40s and you're a guy and you're still hating on a boy band that all the girls loved when you were in junior high or elementary, get over yourself. Like, what the fuck is wrong? Exactly. What the fuck is wrong with you? You should be laughing about the good old days. You shouldn't be like, and like how you tease the girls because you like them. Right. But you didn't actually hate the boy band. You had no reason to. You were fucking jealous. That's all it was.
Of course. No, and and the girls were all swanning over who was their favorite. Do you like Donnie or do you like Joe? And we made fun of it because we were, teenage boys and that's what you do. But no, I look back on that period of time fondly. That was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. That's just what you did as kids. But
that's just what you did as a kid. Yeah, it's like for sure.
Now I'm telling the guys that age, I'm like, if you're single, get on the fucking boat.
I bet, hey?
Get on the ship and meet lots of ladies. They're all revved up and ready to go.
let Donnie act as like when you go to ladies' night and they had the strippers at the start of the night. Let Donnie act as your stripper. And
well, there is a bit of that happens. Yes, I'm gonna say there is a bit of some magical Mike feelings that happen on, but all in all, it's it's just everyone having fun together. It's about the friendships that you make along the way.
Great. Of course, and it was with your pictures, a lot of the pictures that you've taken, I noticed that too. That there's some swooning, there's some definite swooning going on with you and your
our girls,
your girls there, for sure.
Oh,
that's awesome.
There's a video from the last cruise of like, I think Jordan's dancing or something, and he's like got his shirt like go back around his head, and you can hear me cloud his day, and I'm like, what? Losing my fucking mind. But that's what we do. It's fun. And I'm
love your
too.
life. Love your life.
Thank you so much, Colin. Do you have anything else you want to say about Creed before we wrap things up?
What do I want to say about Creed? That I think Creed takes a lot of shit that they shouldn't, and I think that Scott Stapp had wonderful hair. And
did.
one more time, I just want to say, yeah. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, I learned for researching this episode things I didn't. I know I'm a big Alter Bridge fan, but I've never actually seen like the band and like looked at them at the photos or anything. But now I've seen what all the bands looks like, and Mark Tremonti is an attractive man.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and he's also a very talented guitar player.
All right. Well, that's I didn't know what Mark Tremonti looked like either, but now I can tell my friends that he's handsome.
Yeah. You do that, okay?
Well, if does he have his hair as good as Scott Stapp though?
I don't know. Scott's hair is pretty dreamy.
This is what I'm saying.
He cut it. Scott cut his hair.
Does?
He's got like a fashionable short dude now, but
he's got like the Chad Kruger now.
No, maybe kind of. Yeah, I guess Chad's got that spiky dude now.
I also remember too that Scott Stapp had a bum chin. I don't know how I remember that, but he does have a bum chin.
Bum chin.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as Travolta's bum chin.
Wow. Is
no one's
anybody
got a better bum chin than Travolta.
Well, Jesse Ventura does.
Oh, the governor.
The governor.
Or was he a senator?
Geez, I don't know. Governor.
He was some politician.
Something. Yeah, and just insufferable to listen to.
Okay, well, I have to poop, so I have to go.
All right. Hope everything comes out all right. Social media, we've got it. Send us an email, dopenostalgiapodcast@gmail.com. Twitter, nostalgia dope. Or on Insta, dope_nostalgia.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work.